Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Crafty Meraki, and today I'm going to show you a fun die cutting techniques. We're going to make this really fun edge to our card with the die cuts. We're using the Artisan Flora dies, the Lily, and I'm going to die cut that from some watercolor cardstock because we're going to use some Karin markers to give this kind of a watercolor look. And as you can see, inside of this packaging has the layout of how you're going to put together your flowers, but I'm also going to show you that. So I have them die cut, and I am starting with a yellow watercolor marker, and I'm just using a little bit of water to blend out the edges. This does not need to be perfect. I just want to get color on this very back layer. We're going to be adding some other layers to the front of it that have a little bit more detail. So now that I have those, I have two bigger flowers. We got a few, like maybe three of the smaller kind of opening lilies that we're going to be using. But I'm going to show you the big ones first here. And so these pieces here that are going to be layering on top, I want to just keep the yellow to the outside edge. And as you can see, I'm leaving the center part white because we're going to come back in and add some really bright pink to give these lilies a nice pop of color. So I'm dipping my brush in just a little bit of water and blending out that marker that we colored around the edge. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of this pink marker because these are very saturated colors, and a little bit is going to go a long way. But look at how pretty that is. So I'm blending it. I want to keep that center pink the darkest, and then I'm blending out the rest towards the yellow edges. You will also see me dabbing off my paintbrush. If I get too much color from that pink, I'm going to wipe it off before I continue blending. Otherwise, you're not necessarily going to have a darker and lighter area if you just carry all of that color over. So my suggestion would be start with a little, and if you need to add more of the pink, you can add more because again, it's a very concentrated color. So now that those layers are done, I'm going to go back in with that same pink marker. I want to make sure that this is dry, and I'm going to add some of the dots that you see on these beautiful petals from in the lily flower. So I'm going to add those, and this is these big open lilies. Then we're going to do ones that are a little bit more closed. But look at how pretty that is. I love this detail. Again, make sure it's dry, otherwise that water's just going to grab onto it and it's just going to spread out and not look as neat. I want these little dots to stay little dots. Here's the stamens. There's two pieces that you're going to layer together. I am just adding a little bit of yellow and green and blending it out with a tiny bit of water on my paintbrush. Here are the smaller buds where they're just starting to open. So this is the back larger piece. I'm just adding a little bit of yellow. I'm going to add that pink where I left it white when I blended out the yellow, and then I left that one part uncolored, and you'll see why. These two pieces are going to cover that up. These petals right here are the outside petals, so you don't see the inside, so I am not going to be adding pink. I thought I was going to for a second, and then I'm like, nope, it's just going to be a solid yellow, so I will color all of those. Then there are some greenery for the leaves, and then some stems for those smaller lilies. I'm just adding a little bit of that green and blending it out with the water. It's not perfect, but it totally works. Okay, let's assemble these. So I have my big main piece that's in the back there. I am going to add my second largest piece with a little bit of liquid glue right in the center. I don't like to glue all of my petals down because I want them to naturally lift, which is going to give this even more dimension. Here is the next layer. So this is why I did not need to add any pink to that solid back layer, because all of these other layers are going to cover that up. Then you want to add your two stamen pieces together, and then we're going to add that to the center flower. So I'm going to just pop that in place, add a little bit of liquid glue at the bottom, and then we can take our final little flower petal here, and then we can just place that down. And look at how pretty that is. It turned out so nice. Super easy to put together, you guys. These dies are fantastic. Let's do this smaller one. So we're going the longer skinny petal, and that's going to cover up that piece in the background. and then this little piece is going to go right on top of it, but it's shaped differently, so it's going to layer differently. So again, a little bit of glue, and I will do that for all of those little ones. And then I can add my stem to this. These look like little hands to me. I just think they're so funny. A little bit of glue there, and then just pop that right in place. Okay, so on this A2 size white, just regular cardstock, I'm going to add a little bit of low-tack tape, and I will use some pixie spray on the back of my stencil because I do want it to adhere down. This is a really soft stencil and I don't want things to move. So I'm going to press that down, and then I'm just going to use a green ink and lightly ink blend the background. I just want to give a little bit of color, and then we can get to the fun part of these die cuts. We're going to change the edge of our card. So the opening edge, the right edge of your A2 size card, we're going to change the edge of that. So here is my card base. I'm going to adhere that stenciled piece on the background, and then I want to bring in my paper trimmer, and I did cut off, it was a good 2 or 3 inches. I'm measuring with my flower. So I want my flowers to, they don't have to come to the complete edge, but I want them to come close. So I'm going to start gluing them down on that stenciled edge there. And you'll still be able to see a little bit of that white background, which I actually like that. I think that really makes these flowers stand out. So a little bit of liquid glue. I suggest liquid glue for something like this, or a double-sided adhesive, because it's really going to hold, because this is what you're going to be grabbing to open your card. So let's get that last little piece in there. And then I die cut more of these flowers from just regular white cardstock, because when we open it, we need to cover that underside because it's kind of ugly and you can see the color through it. So let's first add some of these leaves, and then we can get to that part. I'm just going to tuck those in. And then I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue. And then we have these guys in place. But isn't that edge so fun? I love it. But now let's get to finishing off that inside. So I die cut those, and I'm just going to place them over that back. This would also be fun to color these and put them on the inside as well. And I didn't even think about that till I was at this part, and I just didn't have time to do that. But that would be cute too. But this just gives it a nice white finish. I don't mind that I can see that they're die cuts. I actually like that. But now you won't see that the color is bleeding through the cardstock. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue in some areas to make sure those pieces hold together nicely. And then I'm going to trim off just the leaves and the petals from the bottom and the top. Let's do our sentiment here. I am using the Seashell Wreath stamp for this sentiment. This is actually my stamp set. And it says, thinking of you, and I trimmed that out with my scissors, and I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind that. And then we can put this in place, and I want to finish off this card with some gold foil sequins. And I'm just going to add that around. And then let's take a look at this closely. I love that pop of color against that green stenciled background. And then there is the opening for our card. And it turned out great. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope you have a wonderful day.